Hello and welcome to today's lesson. Now, last time we ended off doing some simple statements in the Python shell, and we will continue today doing some more advanced statements in the Python shell by executing not just one line at a time, but blocks of code at a time. So just to recall, last time we used the print statement, which prints statements to the screen, and we did what is called a string, which is a word like greeting or hello or how are you, and by just doing that we see it gets printed to the screen as output. Now we can also do a print a blank line by just passing nothing through the parentheses, and then we see we get a blank line over there. But now what if we want to execute multiple lines of code at a time? Now in the shell itself, that is possible, but eventually we will want to do this in a script or a file. And the Python idle also allows us to do that, but we'll get to that a little bit later. So let's illustrate a little bit more about programming a function. And we'll get to functions much later in this series, but I want to just illustrate to you what a function is very basically. So you can code along with me or just follow along. Now in Python, to define a function, we type def. Now I'm going to call this function hello. We can call it whatever we want. I'm calling this one hello because we're going to say, hello, computers are fun. So I'm putting empty parentheses there for now. And then I press enter. And then we can see it indents over here. So we see that I can put in something here. It's indented by a tab. And it does that because everything that is in this line here with this tab falls under this function, hello. So let's type a few statements that we want to execute when we later on call this function hello. So I want to say hello, and I want to say computers are fun. And when I press enter, it's expecting me maybe to type something else, but I want to finish my definition of hello. And so I just press enter again. And then we see the Python prompt over here, which is prompting me for the next statement. So for the Python interpreter, it is considering this entire definition of this function over here as one block of code. As you can see, there's a prompt over there, and then there's the next prompt over there. So how do we use this function? Well, we call it as follows. I simply type hello, and then what do you think the output is going to be? Let's see when I press enter. The output is hello, computers are fun. So by calling this function hello, Python goes here and it says, okay, there's a function called hello, and in the hello function, I need to do the following. I need to print out that statement, and I need to print out that statement over there. Now, functions in Python are very useful. It shows us that we can run blocks of code at a time. And programs in Python might consist of multiple functions. So working in the shell like this is very useful for interactive development, where we can test out small snippets of code and see what the results are. But it is not always very useful when we're trying to develop big programs and we need to reuse code. So what I'm going to show you now is how we can write a reusable program. So let us go to the following place. We go to File, and we say New File, or you can simply press Ctrl N. Here we see that we have a new file being opened. It is untitled. It is not saved yet. And so we will save that later on with a .py extension. So what I want to illustrate for you now is just a simple program that you do not have to understand at the moment. We will explain all these concepts later. But I just want to demonstrate to you how we can write a nice block of code as a program, and that we can alter certain parts. We can run the code, go back to the file, or which is also called a script, modify some part of it and see what the results are. And this is the benefit of having a script to save our program as. So as I go along, I'll just explain a little bit of the parts of a Python program that I'm doing. So hashtag, this is a comment in Python, which means when we run the program, it does not get executed. So we can write comments in this way. So I'm using this to say, okay, I'm writing a simple program to illustrate chaotic behavior. Okay, so let's start and define a function called main, right? Now it is usual in Python programming to have the main code of your program in a function called main. So that's just a standard procedure. So that's why I'm writing a function called main. And I'll start off with a print statement, which will say something like, sorry, I see a typo over there. I'll say a program to illustrate chaotic behavior. So I'll also print that out for the user. And then what I want to do is, I want to do some mathematical equation. So this is going to be how the algorithm is going to work. There's going to be an equation that is going to illustrate chaotic behavior. So what I want to do is, I first want to get input from the user. So the way we do that is, I'm going to say x, this is the value I'm going to get from the user. X gets the value of a single equal sign there is an assignment statement. So it is saying x will get the value of whatever is now on the right hand side. So I'm going to evaluate the input. And input is an inbuilt function as well to get input from the keyboard. And I'm going to ask the user with a prompt saying enter a number between 0 and 1. And that should be good enough. And then what I want to do is, I'm going to do a loop. I'm going to do a loop 10 times. And each time I'm going to do a different calculation using this value for x that the user gave us, right? So don't worry about understanding everything now. I'm just demonstrating to you the benefits of having a program in a file format that we can change, modify, and see the different results. Okay. So this is how we write a loop in a basic manner. For, now generally in programming for the for loops, we use the variable called I. But you can write anything there for j, for whatever. But let's go with I in range, okay, 10. Now what this means is, it's going to loop from 0 to 9. So the value of I is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And so now what I actually noticed is, I did not put in a closing parenthesis over there, and that's why when I pressed enter, this for loop should have indented, it should have been there. So it indented over here to indicate to me that something is wrong. So if I just show you again, let's take that away, and I press enter, it should be over there. So for I in range 10, so the values for I will be 0 to 9, and those are 10 values. Okay, and there we see it indents a tab space over there, tab space of 4. So this is now the main part of our equation that we're going to execute. X is going to get the value of whatever X was modified by the equation here. So we're going to start off with anything, let's say 3.9 multiplied by X multiplied by 1 minus X. Okay, so this is typically the way a chaotic function is written, and we'll see the behavior of that. And then what we want to do is, for each value of X in this for loop, it's going to run 10 times. We want to see what is the value of X in each of the loops. So we're going to print out X. All right. And then we can press backspace to exit the loop, and then our main function is basically complete. So let's just call this main function here at the bottom, right? And that's it. That's our simple little program that illustrates chaotic behavior. Now, before we can actually view the results, we notice here that it says untitled with a star. So that means it's unsaved, and we cannot run an unsaved script. So we would need to save this file. So to do so, we press Ctrl S, or you can go to File, Save, and then what I'll do is I'll go to wherever I want to save it, and I'll call this one chaos, and it would automatically save it as chaos.py, and that's what I want it as. And we see there on top it's saved as chaos.py. Now we can run this, and to run it you can press F5, or you go to run and say run module. Let's do that. And we are here at the bottom. A simple program to illustrate chaotic behavior. Enter a number between 0 and 1. So let's try 0.5. Enter. And see how quickly that executed. So this was what happened on the first run, second calculation, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and 10th. So we can see it's very chaotic how the value of X is. It starts with 0.975, then 0.095, then 0.335, and so on. Very chaotic, bouncing up and down, almost in an uncalculatable way. So anyway, thanks for watching this video, and in the next one we will dive a little bit more deeper into the parts of a Python program, and we will actually go and look at some nice examples or programming challenges that we can try and solve. So that will be some interesting practical experience for us as we launch on this journey in developing our Python skills. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one.